Welcome to the Unique Perspective Show. How are you? Welcome.
Hey, Yudalev, I'm glad to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing amazing. Chilling out over here in the military, having a good time, relaxing. And I'm here to answer some of your questions that you might have for me as a U.S. Army chaplain.
Wow. Okay, so where did you grow up?
So I actually never grew up. I'm still a kid, but I was born and raised in Lakewood, New Jersey. I actually went to Lakewood Egert. Then I went to Adelphia Yeshiva with Rabbi Trank. I went to Israel. And so between Lakewood, Adelphia, and Israel, that's where I've been brought up.
Wow. Were you close to Rabbi Trank?
Oh yeah, me and Rabbi Trank, we were best buddies.
Oh wow. I heard such good things about him.
That was Rabbi Trank.
My niece actually married his grandson a couple months ago.
No way.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem.
That's right.
So you went from Lakewood Egert to Adelphia.
That's correct.
Then from Adelphia to Eretz Yisrael.
Yep.
What yeshiva in Israel?
Moshav Matayahu, under the tutelage of Rabbi Zevlef.
Wow. And where was that located?
That was in Moshav Matayahu. It's right outside of Modi'in or Kiryat Sefer.
Okay. How long were you there for?
I was there for a couple months, and then I had enough of Israel, so I came back to the United States. Got my first job working at Shlomi's Kosher Road in Lakewood.
Okay, what is that?
So that's a local grocery store in Lakewood that's been around forever.
Okay.
So I worked there for 2 years. I started off as a cashier. I finished up 2 years later as a store manager. And I was like, it's time for me to move on. So I actually got a job working from Monarch EMS.
Okay. Doing what?
As an EMT.
Oh, okay.
So when I was in high school, I was in, I think, 11th grade. And, Yeshiva never has enough stuff going on for you. So got to do a little extra. So, me and a friend both took an EMT course together. Okay. That guy's currently he runs a urgent care facilities in Israel. And I'm here in the United States. But I've been an EMT since 2004. I'm currently on 3 different EMS squads. I'm on Statewide Hatzalah. I'm on Deal Hatzalah or the Hatzalah of the Jersey Shore.
Wow.
And I'm also on Fort Bragg EMS.
Okay. Wow. So after taking an EMT course and joining Hatzalah and all that, what did you do after that?
So I worked for Monarch EMS for a bunch of years.
Okay.
And did that for a bunch of years, and then after that, I switched to Lakewood Township. I joined as driving a garbage truck.
Okay. How long were you doing that for?
I did that for probably around 7 years.
Wow. 7 years driving a garbage truck around Lakewood or all over?
Yeah, all around Lakewood.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I'm sure a lot of people know Dovid Egert, the garbage guy, but not a lot of people know Dovid Egert, the chaplain. So when did Dovid Egert go become a chaplain?
So in 2014, I actually joined Yeshiva Perchas Shoshanim. That is Semicha program. No, I probably started before that. Probably in 2013, I started the Semicha program, and it took me a little while. But during that time, I actually started with the Air Force Reserve as a chaplain candidate, a chaplain student. Didn't really know much about chaplaincy, and it was more of like a way of figuring stuff out, figuring out what I want to do in life, where I see myself. So I joined. It was fun, and I only did it for around a year. After a year, I was like, something? I don't know if the Air Force is for me. It's not my style, not my swagger. So I got out and actually went back to working for Lakewood Township.
Doing what?
Driving a garbage truck.
Okay, so you went back to garbage trucking.
That's right.
Okay. Where is this yeshiva to get Semicha?
So Yeshiva Perchas Shoshanim is based in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
It's run by? Fischel Todd, Rabbi Fischel Todd.
Okay.
It's called the Yeshiva Perchisham YPS. That was called Shulchan Aruch Project.
Okay. And how long does it take to get Semicha there?
Take 3.5 years, 4 years.
Okay. And once you got Semicha, how long did it take you to become a chaplain?
So it took me approximately, once I got Semicha, I graduated in January of 2015, and I applied in, I think, the end of 2016. I applied. So it probably took me around a year to apply to get into the military, to get into the army.
Wow. And where did you apply back in 2015? Where did you apply in Lakewood, or did you apply somewhere else?
I applied through in Lakewood. Right outside Lakewood, they have like a little place where I applied, and I applied to a place right outside Lakewood. It's they have like a little recruiting place. Can't remember the name of the place, but I applied there, and ever since then, it's been a interesting adventure.
Okay.
Right.
So after becoming chaplain, where did you go from there?
From there, so I'm still employed by the military. So I first went to Fort Hood, Texas. I was there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I actually went out to Fort Bragg, and I'm currently in Fort Bragg.
Wow. Okay, but before that, you got married. So where's your wife from?
So my wife is from Lakewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
And she grew up there. And she grew up in Lakewood. And I actually did not know her, but before I was introduced to her.
Okay.
But it was interesting because we actually lived right nearby one another. She lived in Lakewood on I think it was Bradshaw Avenue. Okay. And then I lived at the time on Twin Oaks Drive, which is in around the heart of Lakewood.
Okay. Oh wow. So she grew up in Lakewood, but she's not from Lakewood originally, right?
So she was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wow. And when did she move to Lakewood as a young?
I think she was like 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. Our family moved to Lakewood, and she's been living in Lakewood ever since.
Wow. Okay. And who was your shotgun?
Shotgun was Javi Chase. So Javi Chase, her husband Freddie Chase, he was working at a place called Minyan Shalanu, ran by Chaim Abadi and Simcha Shane. So Chaim Abadi is the rabbi there. Simcha Shane is the man behind the face. He's gonna making sure all the logistics are happening. Whatever goes on over there is probably thanks to Simcha Shane, because before the minyan even started, Simcha Shane, he used to invite people to his house, and he was always having people over. Because don't forget, back in the day, there was no place for like people to go that didn't fit in. Right. Someone wants to go to work. That's terrible, you know. And so where do you go? So they had Simcha Shane's house, and so I actually became a ben bias of Simcha Shane. Simcha Shane is basically my brother. Okay. And my son growing up, ever since he was born 10 years ago, calls him Uncle Simcha.
Wow.
Every time he actually travels Lakewood, we go to Uncle Simcha's house to visit.
Wow. I think I actually met your son once on Shabbos by Simcha Shane's house.
Makes sense.
I think it was one time. For sure one time. I think it was by his son's office. I don't remember.
Possibly.
But so after becoming chaplain, you went to Fort Bragg.
So I first went to I started from Fort Jackson.
Hood.
So before that, I actually went for training for 3 months in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. That's the home of the Chaplain Corps, and that's where everyone goes for training. So we went there for 3 months, from September of 2017 till December, during all the Yom Tovim. I had a blast
Wow.
out there. It was fantastic. Then
Okay.
after that, I went to my first duty station, Fort Hood. Fort
Okay.
Hood is the largest military base in the free world.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I was the rabbi of the largest military base,
Wow.
300 square miles.
Okay.
And then I was there for 3 years. After that, I actually went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, soon to be known
Wow.
as Fort Liberty, starting on June
Okay.
1st.
Why are they changing their name?
So they're changing the name due to um, I can't say for sure, but it's due to
Okay.
all the racial tensions going on, and being that these names were like names of like Confederate soldiers.
So whatever. It's racial reasons.
Yeah. So the name's changing, and for Bragg, for Liberty, here we come. Looking forward to getting a new mailing address.
Well, you have to move also from your
No, so I
house.
don't have to move. So I have a house on the military base. The
Okay.
only thing that's going to change for me is, instead of being Fort Bragg, North Carolina, it's going to be Fort Liberty, North Carolina.
Got it. Okay. Now, on base, what do you do on base in Fort
So,
Bragg?
so I am the chaplain for the 192nd Ordnance Battalion EOD, also known to the public as the Army Bomb Squad. So I am the
Okay.
chaplain for a few hundred soldiers. I am the religious
Wow.
leader.
Wow.
If they need anything religious wise, they come to me. The commander needs anything religious wise, comes to me. Doesn't make a difference that that he's not Jewish. In my unit, there's only 2 Jews, me and someone
Wow.
else. The other person's not religious. So
Okay.
so Jewish wise, there's nothing for me to do in my unit. But don't forget,
Wow.
I have a few hundred soldiers who are looking for guidance. Sometimes they're looking
Right.
for either they're looking for like a worship service. Hey, chaplain, where do I go? Or hey, chaplain, I have a problem with this a religious issue. Could you help me out? Could you guide me? So while I
Okay.
can't necessarily guide them in like their Christian belief or their or whatever religious beliefs they have, but I am the guy that they go to. Basically, my job is to bring God to soldiers and soldiers to God, and whatever
Okay.
that entails.
Wow.
That can tell me reaching out to another military chaplain saying, "Hey, chaplain, you're imam. I have a Muslim soldier who needs help," or the guy if the soldier's a Latter-day Saint soldier. Hey, I have a Latter-day Saint friend, and
Wow.
I connect them to the right resources. And we also do counseling. I do a lot of counseling. I'll say probably 60% of my job is counseling. I meet with
Wow.
soldiers because as chaplains, we have 100% confidentiality. Whatever you
Right.
tell me, I can never tell anybody.
Okay.
And sometimes that's all a soldier needs, or that's all someone in the military needs. It's someone to talk to, because some people join the
Right.
military to escape their past,
Right.
and they might have trust issues. Who they can talk to? They're afraid to go to the commander sometimes because the commander to them is like God. It's like the highest person in their reading chain. They don't want to go to them, so they go to the
Right.
chaplain, knowing that whatever they tell me is 100% confidential, and they can tell me anything that they want. I listen. I am there. God gave me 2 ears and only 1 mouth,
Right.
so I do a
Wow.
lot more listening than talking.
Wow.
And then also, I'm
And
actually the rabbi of Fort Bragg. So any Jewish soldier on Fort Bragg or in the nearby vicinity, they need anything Jewish, they come to me. They
wow.
need Siddurim. Hey, I got you covered. You want
Right.
to have a service? I got you covered.
Where do
For
you?
example, I just had someone call me up a couple days ago. Chaplain Egert, I am not stationed at Fort Bragg. I'm stationed somewhere else, but I have
Okay.
yard site on Wednesday night, and I need a minion.
Okay.
And I was like, you know something? We'll make it happen. And we did. Last
Wow.
night we actually had we had 10 people for Mincha. We had 13 people from Myriv, and this hasn't
Wow.
happened in a very long time. But
Wow. Do you write stuff down so that you keep it for later on, like
I should,
stories?
right? I should definitely start writing it down. Get a little notebook, write down anything interesting happening going on. Write it down, because on this base we had a lot. I already did 2 brism on the base. We actually did a
Wow.
conversion on the base. We did a wedding on the base.
Wow. And I think you told me like last week you were in Lakewood for Gyaris or something
Yeah.
like that.
So last week a soldier who was not Jewish, or
Okay.
he might have been Jewish, but not 100% sure. Basically, this soldier for the last 20 years served in the military, served all over defending the homeland, defending the country, and
Okay. Wow.
he's seen God many times up close. Because as they say, ain't no atheist in a foxhole, and I guess it's true because this man first converted to Reform, and
Right.
and, and
Wow.
Reform, I guess that wasn't his flavor, so
Okay.
he converted to Conservative. That didn't work for him either. And then the guy reached out. He wanted to convert to Orthodox. But how did the guy
Okay.
get to me? So he got
Right.
to me because he was thinking of like, hey, I want to convert to Orthodox. I guess and I spoke to him. He actually Googled Orthodox Judaism and found
Wow.
Yeshiva Shoshanim. They have a Shulchan
Okay.
Aruch program, and he
Okay.
signed up for it. And he was speaking to them. He's like, "Hey, I really want to convert. I want to become Orthodox." They
Okay.
said, "Ain't gonna happen. You don't live in a Jewish community,
Wow.
and if you have nothing Jewish near you, then we can't help you." But then the guy's like, "By the way, where are you stationed?" The guy's like, "Oh, I'm stationed
Okay.
at Fort Bragg, but don't worry, there's nobody here." The guy's like, "Yeah, there is. A guy, Dovid Egert, is there.
Wow.
Speak with him, and if you're on the same base as Dovid Egert, we'll hook you up." And
Okay.
so he's been going at it strong for the last 2.5 years,
Okay.
studying, learning. Any questions he had, he reached out to me. And I'm not a genius. I don't know everything. So Mario Abba
Right.
Chaim Abadi is the number one guy to answer any question you have. And
Right.
I would call up Chaim Abadi all the time. Because if Chaim
Okay.
Abadi, you call him, he answers. If he doesn't answer,
Right.
he'll text you back or
Right.
he'll WhatsApp you. But
Wow.
anytime I have questions, I call him and he guides me, and I actually guided this person as well. So this person just converted last week. So we had a conversion in Lakewood by Lakewood
Wow.
Beston, and then we had a wedding in Lakewood. So it was him, his wife, and his 2 kids,
Okay.
and so he was able to be the 10th man for a minyan. If not for him, there wouldn't have been a minyan.
Wow. Wow. So but like you said, he's been around the block for like 20 years. So is he like retiring now or
No.
what's
This
he?
guy planned on staying in for a while. The guy's actually moving
Wow.
to a base right near a Jewish community. He wants to be
Okay.
involved. He wants to be part of the community. So so luckily for him, he's actually being stationed right near a Jewish community. So he will have everything that he needs to bring up his family Jewish.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I forgot to ask you, but so you're involved with Chaplain, right?
Oh yeah. So that started off
So
a long time ago. So it's growing up, in Lakewood
yeah,
on Shabbos. For me, it was very
yeah,
boring. I got
okay,
ADHD. I don't know if you can tell.
yeah, okay,
I'm very hyperactive. What does a hyperactive kid, together with his twin brother, do on a long Shabbos afternoon? Don't forget, I
okay.
come from a family of 11, so it's not like that my
Wow,
house was very quiet, and
right,
I enjoyed the loudness. But on the long
okay,
Shabbos afternoons, what are you supposed to do? So
right,
what do? We decided we're gonna go walk over to Kimball Hospital. It was 5.5 miles. No, it was 4 miles from our house, and we would
wow,
walk there on Shabbos afternoon and visit all the patients in the hospital, and of course get some free snacks from the Bika Cholam room. And
wow,
then while we were at it, like, wait a second, why don't we join Bika Cholam officially, become members of Bika Cholam? So
okay,
the Egert twins joined Bika Cholam, became
okay,
volunteers, and we go to the hospital every Shabbos, visiting all the Jewish patients and the non-Jewish patients as well, cheering
okay,
everybody up, putting a smile on their face, because on Shabbos, who's expecting a visitor on like a Shabbos
right,
afternoon? Person's not feeling well, they're stuck in a hotel room, a hospital room. Yeah, they might have a TV going or something, but it's boring
right,
between me and you. All the thing is just a nurse. It's
wow,
not a Shabbos like that. So the Egert
right,
twins would go to every Shabbos,
wow,
and we would have a good time. And
okay,
then it eventually turned into Bika Cholam calling us during the week. We're like, hey, are you available to help out?
okay,
And when me and my twin brother both turned 17 and we got our driver's license, we're like, wait a second, this is very important to us. Why?
okay,
Because we got our driver's license and we got to drive. And Bika
right,
Cholam was giving us
wow,
a free vehicle. So
right,
we drove to all the hospitals and restocking the food pantries helping out any which way possible. Then eventually morphed into we could do Bikacholim, and then we joined Chai Lifeline because Chai Lifeline also had a nice free van, and they also had trips.
Wow.
So Chai Lifeline, it was the best place to be because on like Chalamoid, they would have Chalamoid trips for all the volunteers, and for a 17-year-old kid, this is fantastic. I get a free car from Chai Lifeline, and we were driving. Initially, it was like 1 day a week, then 2 days a week, then 3 days a week, and then it was probably almost every single day of the week. I was probably driving to Philadelphia Hospital. At one point, I drove 7 days in 1 week. Every single day that week, we actually drove to the hospital. I remember driving on like a Friday. I got a phone call from Chai Lifeline.
Yeah.
Hey, Egert, we need this kid to be brought to Children's Hospital right away. And I was like, but it's almost Shabbos. They're like, okay. So drive the patient to the hospital. Take you an hour and a half to get there. But I was like, Shabbos is 30 minutes. Like, yeah, this patient needs to go out to the hospital. So you're taking him. So for me, it was very interesting being like, wait a second, it's Shabbos, driving to the hospital. I don't know any of the halachas of Shabbos about driving, but we figured it out. We got the patient to the hospital safely.
Yeah.
And I ended up having a good time spending Shabbos out in
Philly.
Out in Philadelphia. We ended up doing that a lot, helping out. We were there. Their drivers that were available 24/7. There was never a no.
Wow.
And then
where did you
learn
that from? Where did you learn that from? Where did you learn that from?
So I learned it first off. My mother has been a dispatcher for Lakewood Hatzalah for around probably 40 years, 35 to 40 years. She's been dispatching for Lakewood Hatzalah. She's known as D2 in Lakewood. 40 years, and so she knew all the laws about Shabbos, and she got us in contact with people, and we spoke to a lot of people, and me and my twin brother both ended up learning all the halachas about Shabbos, about driving on Shabbos, what we could do, what we can't do, and yes, we even got a ride back on a Friday afternoon coming back from Children's Hospital, and we're running very late because when a patient's sick, time doesn't matter to them. They need to get to a hospital, we get them there. So we're racing back. And we realized that we're not making it back in time. And we were the lucky ones around because, who picked us up that day? The chief police came to pick us up on the side of the highway. Because we stopped right before Shabbos, pulled over and said, this is as far as we got. And the chief police brought us back because we need to be available to help out in-laws in need.
Right.
But so volunteering for Chai Lifeline was great. Always getting a free car to use and drive around. But then I heard about Camp Simcha. Camp Simcha is like heaven on earth for camps. This is like the cream of the crop for Jewish camps in the United States. This is a camp for like I think it's 2 weeks of boys, and then 2 weeks of boys special, which is so Camp Simcha is a cancer camp. Lifeline. Camp Simcha, it's so 2 weeks of people suffering from regular cancer, and I say regular because I don't know the difference between all the different kinds of cancers. There's probably a lot out there. And then they had 2 weeks of special. People that had different needs, different medical needs, different diseases. And I was like, hey, I got into this camp for 2 weeks. And I was thrilled, This was the hardest camp to get into. Because I applied a couple times and didn't get in.
I can't believe it was very hard for you to get in.
Yeah, you know how it is, but Swilly Fried helped me out. Yoel Margulies helped me out. Yoel Margulies actually works for Go Mitzvah together with Monty Edelstein, and these two guys were actually both volunteers. Rather, I don't know if they were volunteers, but let's see. Yoel Margulies, he ran Go Mitzvah. He did all different projects for Chai Lifeline, as well as Monty Edelstein. And so Monty Edelstein and Yoel, good friends of mine. Still to this day, I speak to them pretty often. And even though Yoel doesn't really work for Chai Lifeline anymore, he works for different organizations. But me and him are still good friends. I speak to him as often as I can. And so I was telling Yoel, hey, I just got to camp. This is fantastic. And I was like, but Yoel, I got a question. You think I can bring a bike to camp? And Yoel's like, I don't know how you could do that. You can't bring a bike on the bus. I was like, what do you mean? But and don't forget, I'm actually big into bike riding. I've been bike riding my whole life. On like Friday afternoons, when I was bored on the long Friday afternoons, I come home from Yeshiva, hop on my bicycle, bike ride down to the ocean, do like a 40 to 50 mile bike ride and come back.
Wow.
So to me, biking is my passion.
Okay.
So I told Joe, I was like, yo, I got a problem. He's like, what do you mean? What's the problem? I was like, I'm gonna be in camp for 2 weeks. And on Tuesdays is an off day for staff members.
Okay.
He's like, okay, so what does your bike have to do with it? I was like, what do you mean? How am I gonna get to town? He's like, what do you mean you need to get to town? I'm like, I have an off day. I'm not gonna stay on campus. I'm gonna be bored.
Right.
He's like, you'll get a ride with somebody. I was like, I don't have to rely on somebody. I'll take a bicycle. He's like, you take a bike, but you're probably not going to get onto the bus. He made some phone calls and was told, Egert, there's no bike allowed on the bus.
Okay.
We got a problem. I was like, yo, I'm going to bike up to camp.
No
Yo was
way.
like, and Yo was like, let me get this straight. You can bike around 135 miles from Lakewood to Camp Simcha in Gillespie, New York. I was like, yeah. So he's like, what? Wait a second. If you could do this, we need to do a fundraiser for Chai Lifeline. So me, Moti Edelstein, and Yoel Margus sat down, and we're like, what are we gonna call this thing? And I was like, I got no clue. Bike for something. Bike for life. Nope, don't like that. Bike for mitzvah. No, don't like that. Bike for Chai. Yeah. So Yoel loved it. As soon as he said I like the name, I was like, perfect. We got a deal. Bike for Chai was born in 2009. That year, I actually biked up to camp. Oh, I forgot to tell you the important part. Moti Edelstein told me, Egert, if you make it up to camp and you raise $10,000, I'll buy you a brand new road bike.
Wow.
A road bike? I can't afford a road bike. That costs a couple $1,000s. I was riding my Trek 820 that I actually bought from Beacon Bicycles in like Howell, New Jersey. And I was like, I'm gonna take the mountain bike and bike up to camp because I don't have a road bike. Did I know anything about road bikes? Absolutely not. All I knew was it got 2 wheels and a pedal, and I am good to go. But I made up to camp, and yes, Moti Edelstein bought me a bicycle. I got a road bike. I still have it to this day. That is my go-to bike. Candel Synop 6. Got that one. I got my Fuji Transonic 1.1.
Wow. Now let me ask you. The first year, it was only one person.
That was me. It was me, and so I biked up probably around the first 110 miles by myself.
Okay.
There was no support. There was nobody. The rest stop, pulled into a local gas station and got a drink. I got hungry. I pulled into Walmart and got some snack. But yeah, the only thing I did have was before I left the Chai Lifeline office, they had a whole party outside, and the Lakewood Police Department escorted me outside town. I guess they were happy to get rid of me, so they escorted me right to the edge. And then my siblings actually bike rode probably 40, 50 miles with me till like the end of Route 9.
Okay.
By past Route 18, went over there, and I was on my own, riding up the 18 to the 206, 206. All those mountain roads by myself was fantastic. And then I remember staying overnight. I think it's called the N Meyer Motel. When I show up there, they're like, "So where's your bike from, sir?" It's like, from Lakewood, New Jersey. Like, where's that? I was like, it's around 100 miles from here. They're like, no. They actually went online. They Googled it. I'm like, yep, there you are. You left this morning. And then the next day, I remember meeting Yoel. So, I actually met Yoel Margus and Moti Edelstein. They both took a minivan with my luggage. So, and yes, all my gear I needed for bike riding, they actually brought up to the local town.
Wow.
And I met them in town. And for probably like the last 20 miles, I had Yoel, he was driving. He had the same song playing over and over and over. The Eye of the Tiger. He had that song going on like repeats. And Moti Edelstein is laying in the back of a minivan with all the seats taken out, with the back hatch opened, and taking pictures and videos. And that was the whole bike for Chai the first year.
Wow. So
and then the second year, so how did bike for Chai really start?
Yeah.
So during the year, so before bike for Chai for the second year, I was like, yeah, I'll bike up again. I can probably raise a couple $. And I was bike riding with Elliot Zaks and Pinchas Gilbert and a few other people. And they're like, Egert, why don't we make a big fundraiser out of this? I was like, I don't know, let's go for it. And they did. They raised, I think, $200,000 that year. Last year, they raised $13 million for High Lifeline.
Wow. 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 Did you ever think it would become this big?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Wow.
But I'm glad it did, because this is a pretty big fundraiser for High Lifeline. Camp Simcha. I think this is our largest fundraiser for High Lifeline.
I think it's
Imagine
the biggest
$13 million a year for an organization to help out people suffering from debilitating illnesses.
Wow, it's incredible. It's incredible. And do you still have to fundraise every year?
Fundraising, no. So thank God that's one thing I don't have to do, because I don't like fundraising. I enjoy bike riding. So every year I come and I actually get to meet all my friends again, who I haven't seen since last year. And let's see, who do I see there? I see Blonder.
Okay,
I
don't
see
know who that
Simple
is.
Shane.
Okay.
I see a couple other people, and it's fantastic.
Wow.
It's like an annual reunion.
Wow. And I'm sure you made lots of friends through Bike for Chai itself.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. So I wanted to take you back a little bit. You became a chaplain, but you're growing up. What did you really want to do?
So growing up, I actually wanted to be a police officer. So as a little kid, most little kids have that dream. I'm gonna be a cop. I'm gonna be a police officer. I'm gonna be driving the police car through Lakewood, pulling over all the people speeding, all the people running red lights and stop signs. I'm gonna be that guy that pulls them over and sets them straight and makes them follow the law. But it wasn't meant to be. I'm colorblind. Can you imagine having a colorblind police officer? Labor. Give me one thing. What do you think would happen having a colorblind police officer? Why do you think it's a problem?
I am colorblind also.
So what do you think the problem would actually be having a colorblind police officer? Come on.
I don't know.
Come on. Well, I'll tell you. Just imagine pulling over a car and be like, H-base, this is D68. I have a red. No, it's maroon. No, it's pink car pulled over.
Okay.
I'd be like, well, let us know which color it is. But like, I think it's blue, purple. That's probably not going to go over so well in court when the guy's like, Your Honor, I was not driving a purple car. Here's pictures of my car. My car is hot pink. How's that going to fare? Probably not too well. Or just imagine chasing after a suspect. I'm chasing after a 32-year-old male. He's wearing a white t-shirt and green pants. And all the cops are looking around. They arrest somebody. It's the wrong guy, because I wasn't following a guy wearing green pants. He was wearing yellow pants. So being colorblind is a problem. As a police officer, I definitely understand that. So I'm glad I actually didn't get in.
Wow. So you said earlier that you growing up, you learned all this from your mother.
Yes, I learned I learned volunteering from my mother. So my mother has been a dispatcher for Lakewood Hatzalah for 35 years. Before she retired from Lakewood Hatzalah. She retired. That she doesn't do it anymore. But I took her over now. So even though I don't necessarily dispatch in Lakewood, I live in North Carolina in Fort Bragg, and so I dispatch for Jersey Shore Hatzalah. I dispatch from my house through the internet, and I feel connected just as she was. And also, don't forget my big brother, Uncle Simcha. He actually seeing all the stuff he does in life to help people out motivates me as well. Wow. So and I was actually Ben biased by him. I was by his house all the time. And as I said before, I was probably by his house every Shabbos. Yes, his wife makes delicious food, but my mom's food and my wife's food is still better. But he's probably gonna disagree. But yeah, he has great food. But I would go there every Shabbos, walk over 5 miles from my house to his house, hang out there for Shabbos or for the afternoon or for whenever. And I would actually see all the volunteering he does, and seeing between that and seeing everything my mother does kept me to want to help people. Helping is a way of life.
Right.
And that's actually the reason why I joined the military, because how else can you give back to your country? The country that actually
Right.
does so much for you. And the only way I thought about it is I joined the military, I can be a chaplain. Chaplain's
Wow.
the best way to go, because it's not really a job. You're helping people. Helping people is
Right.
never a job. I've been in the military for 6 years and haven't started working yet. I'm waiting for the day that the Army says, Chaplain Egert, you haven't worked in 6 years. You got to start working now.
Wow. Wow. Now you live on base, right?
That's right. I
And
live on Fort Bragg together with my wife
I
and my
I
son
think
Israel and my
yeah,
son Uziel.
okay. So you have two kids. And did you just have a kid like a month or two ago?
I did around a month ago on
Okay.
Shabbos. We actually
Yeah.
had a little boy, a healthy baby
Oh,
boy.
Mazel
So,
tov.
so now we have baby Uzi and big brother Ezzy.
Wow. Okay. So he was born on Shabbos, and what do you guys do in the hospital? Like, your wife gave birth at home or on base?
No, so on base, they actually have the Womack Army Medical Center, and they
Okay.
have probably the best baby care in the world that I know of.
Okay.
Anything she needed before she went to the hospital, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks before she went there, they called up like, Mrs. Egert, we know you're Jewish. We just want to make sure we're actually getting you the right food. We ordered you glad kosher. Is that kosher enough for you? Or is that not
Wow.
good enough? We don't know. We actually Googled and we saw a Chabad something. And she's like, no, glad kosher is perfect. And they went out of their way to make sure she was comfortable in the
Wow.
hospital, out of the hospital, before we got there, after they had the C-section, they made sure she was 100% squared away, no pain at all. Those doctors did a phenomenal job at Womack.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah,
So you had a baby on Shabbos.
that's right.
But when was the brit? So the bris was on Shabbos. Your parents flew out. When
Yeah,
was the
so no,
brit?
so the bris was non Shabbos. A Yotze
Okay.
Goifen is always the
Mm,
next day, because
right.
you can't do a bris for C-section on Shabbos.
Right.
So we had a bris on Sunday, and yep, all my siblings flew in from Lakewood. Some of them actually
Wow.
drove. So
Wow.
kudos to them, because it's an 8.5 hour drive from Lakewood to Fort Bragg.
Wow.
But they all showed up. They literally left Sunday morning. We actually had a bris Sunday afternoon, because my father can't miss Tefillah B'tzibor. Never
Okay.
has, and probably won't. And
Wow.
so Davin shop was in Lakewood at 7 a.m. Stopped by Bagelash, of course. Picked up some nice fresh bagels. Caught a flight
Okay.
down to Fort Bragg. We had Mincha followed by the bris, and then he was on his way right back to Lakewood.
Wow. Wow. He
And
flew. He flew,
he
or he
flew.
drove. He flew.
And then interesting thing. I have a good friend of mine, Yechiel Weberman.
Okay.
And I'm always calling him. I'm like, Yechiel, you gotta come visit. You gotta come visit, because. And he actually came down around a year and a half ago. Came to visit. He was driving down to Florida. Stopped off for a little bit. Got some refreshments for him to continue his road trip, because I'm only 20
Okay.
minutes off the highway. So if you're
Right.
driving down the 95, stop on by Fort Bragg, come visit me. And he did.
Okay.
And I called him up Sunday, the day of the bris. I was like, hey, I forgot to tell you I'm making a bris today. He's like, making a bris today? I thought the bris was on Shabbos. He's like, you should have told me. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, I feel bad. I'm not in Lakewood. I'm like, Bristol's not in Lakewood. Bristol's in Fort Bragg. He's like, no way. I'm 20 minutes away. I'm on the highway. I'm on the 95. And he showed up. He was the
No
way person I
way.
expected to actually show up to my son's bris. But yeah, he
Wow.
was there. Him and his son showed up, and then hence the Simcha.
Wow. What were they doing driving to North Carolina on a Sunday?
Maybe they're driving to Florida or driving back to Lakewood. To Far Rockaway. I got no clue.
Wow.
But to me, it was amazing that these guys happened to be in the area, and they assumed the bris wasn't Shabbos, so didn't even think to even ask if it was on Sunday. And I called him up probably around an hour before the bris. I was like, just want to let you know I'm making a bris. And I know you can't make it out here. Like, I feel bad. He's like, I'm in North Carolina. He's like, I'm in this town, 20 minutes away from you. I was like, come on, boy, right now. And he
Wow. So you're a chaplain for 6 years now.
did. That's right.
What is Chaplain Dovid Egert's plan for the future?
Chaplain Egert's plan for the future is to be Chaplain Egert. I've been in for 6
Okay.
years. I plan on doing 20 years, serving my country with pride, wearing that big American flag, and serving until I hit 20 years. Then after that, we'll see how the body feels, how the wife feels
Okay.
about it, how the kids feel, and we'll move on from there.
Wow. So you're right now you're in Fort Bragg / Fort Liberty.
Oh yes.
But how long do you get to live there, and do you have any like say in like can you stay there for the rest of time or
Absolutely. I have to say the way it works is the Army
Okay.
says, Chaplain Egert, where do you want to go? I'm like, I want to go somewhere near a Jewish community. Okay. Unfortunately, that's not where we need you. We need you to go somewhere else. And the Army sends you where you're needed, not where you want to go.
Okay. So technically speaking, you could tell them. Can you tell them that you want to stay in Fort Bragg?
I
Or-
could, but I gotta remember that I signed up to join the military to serve
Right.
the people. And if the people
Right.
need me in somewhere else, that's where I'm gonna go. Wherever the Army sends me, I am willing and able to go. I'm there for the people.
Wow. So really, you're living on a base day to day because you don't know what's going to be from today till tomorrow. They may want you at another base tomorrow, right?
They might not, but at the end of the day, if you want me to move, they normally give you around the 6 months notice that hey, it's time for you to move again. And you usually stay somewhere for 3 years. I spent 3 years in Fort Hood. I'm assuming I'm gonna be in Fort Bragg for 3 years, and we'll see wherever the Army wants to send me. Wherever they're sending me, it's gonna be an adventure for me and my family. We're looking
Right.
forward to it. You know, over here we actually have the Chabad of Raleigh, and they're very friendly. Mendy Wilshansky and his wife Bracha are great people. I go there for
Okay.
Shabbos almost all the time. I
Yeah.
help out over there. They help me out on the base if I need anything. If I ever need to get kosher food, they're always willing to make food for us. So it's
Wow.
good to have friends nearby.
What do you do, let's say, on a regular week? What do you do in Fort Bragg for Shachris, Mincha Maariv? You have minyanim daily, or
No, so
what do you?
Shabbos Mechamar is at the Kaisel.
Okay.
Kaisel I'm a Ravi in my house,
Okay.
and I dive with the little boy. The little
Right.
boys rather I dive with them. That way they
Okay.
get to see the father davening, and
Right.
I learn with them
Okay.
and do Jewish stuff. But we only have a minyan on rather we don't have a minyan. We have a Jewish Kabbalah Shabbos on Friday nights. Every Friday
wow.
night at 6 p.m. at the Waters Family Life Training Center. We have a minyan. I mean, no, we don't have a minyan. We have a we have Kabbalah Shabbos. People come. And after davening we have kiddush. We have a moitzi. We have a whole oinig for them.
Wow.
And if you know anyone who wants to sponsor the oinig, hey, send them my way.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. But so, how far is Raleigh from Fort Bragg? 20
Raleigh
minutes.
is an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But it's right around the corner.
I'm assuming it's right around the corner, but it's still driveway.
That's right. It's not we can't drive, but if you're going to visit friends, it's right around the corner. It doesn't feel like anything.
Have you had any crazy stories on base with as being a chaplain?
I can't think of anything crazy because whatever I see doesn't faze me, doesn't surprise me.
Wow.
So oh yeah, something crazy. I got a phone call. I think it was like a month ago, 2 months ago, from a local hospital. Is this Chaplain Egert? Are you the rabbi at Fort Bragg? Yeah. That's me. Well, we have someone on their deathbed, and they want last rites to be administered by a rabbi. Okay, in Judaism we don't do last rites. We do vidui
Right.
and Shema and some Tehillim. But didn't tell him. I was like, yeah, I'll be right over. Got to the hospital and got to say a vidui with the person,
Okay.
and the family member was there. And then the person was nifter while I was there.
Wow.
And I asked the family member, I'm like, what's the plan? I was like, is mom getting buried? Or they're like, no, it's gonna be easier if you do cremation. Well, I'm actually convinced them to have her buried.
Wow.
And then I reached out to Chesed Shalamas. Chesed Shalamas took care of it and arranged for everything to be taking place free of charge. And the only thing we
Wow.
need to do is we had to get the body from North Carolina to New York. And once the body got to New York, Chesed Shalamas said they'll take over. So what did we do?
Wow.
I reached out to the Chabad of Raleigh, to Mendy Wilshansky. He hooked me
Okay.
up with a funeral home.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, here's the funeral home. If you need to pay for it, let me know. But don't worry. In the meantime, I reached out to a few friends of mine in Lakewood and a few Army people. They sponsored the whole cost, and it's not cheap. But
Yeah.
I'm actually reached out to a few people, and within a matter of a half hour, I had a couple $1,000 raised to cover everything.
Wow. Wow.
And this person actually got Rosh Yisrael just because the hospital couldn't find a local rabbi to conduct the service.
Wow. 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 That's pretty amazing, actually. That the hospital called you up.
It's all in the day of a chaplain, all in the day of a rabbi.
Wow. You have access to like going into hospitals as a chaplain in all of New York, New Jersey. You have like you can go.
As a chaplain, I'm actually a member of so I'm actually a chaplain, so I have chaplain credentials. So if I go to a hospital and they recognize my credentials, great. They'll let me in. If not, hey, I'll stop at the local office of the chaplain at that hospital and say, hey, I'm Chaplain Egert. I'm in the military as a chaplain and I want to visit these people. If they say no, so be it. The answer is no. But most of the time they say yes. And I'm also a member of the USCC, United States Chaplain Corps, and they give me a little badge as well. And I'm part of the U.S. The United States, the New York State Chaplain Task Force. So I should get to help out people, and that's the only reason for being part of them is to be there to help out people in time of need.
Right. Wow. That's wow. Do you have? I want to word it properly, but do you enjoy what you do?
Oh yes, I love what I do, and
Right.
I haven't worked a day in my life yet.
It's pretty crazy. 6.5 years already.
That's
Pretty
right.
crazy.
You like your job?
I love my job.
Hey, I love my occupation. For me, it's not a job.
I hear. What does your wife do on base?
My wife is a full-time mother, taking care
Okay.
of two rowdy boys.
Wow. And your boys go to school? What? Well, not the
So
baby,
they
but
have a Department of Defense school on the base. Probably the best secular education you could get anywhere. These are teachers that they work hard, and the DEO, or Department of Defense Education Agency, only hires the cream of the crop. The best teachers get hired.
Wow.
And my son's teacher, he has a great teacher this year, Mr. McCaig, and he loves Israel. I mean, but the only downside is it's not a Jewish school. It's a public school.
Okay.
It's a Department of Defense public school. But so the education is great. So what does my son do Jewish wise? So there's a place called Negiri Jewish Online School. It's a Chabad school, and twice a week for 2 hours a night, my son gets to be part of a yeshiva, a cheder, and he loves it. He misses it because don't forget he actually learned in Lakewood for a few years.
Right.
And it's definitely hard to live on a military base as a Jewish boy.
Does he have friends on the base?
Sure, he has a lot of friends. He is the most popular kid in the school. Everybody knows Dovid Egert.
Wow, he is a very cute kid.
Oh yeah.
The time I saw him,
he takes after his mother.
his mother? I don't,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Always has
So
a smile on his face. My wife always has a smile on her face, even though she's stuck in the middle of Fort Bragg.
nowhere.
The nearest Jewish community is like an hour, 15 minutes away.
Right.
So
Wow.
I give that woman credit, you know. She's as they say, she's followed me to the edge of the earth. Fort Hood, Fort Bragg, and wherever else they send me to. I give my wife a lot of credit for that.
Wow. And do you plan on moving back to Lakewood at one point?
If the Army sends me to Lakewood, hey, I'll be there. If not, wherever they send me, I go.
So basically you're whatever the Army says, but after 20 years, what are you doing after 20 years of being in the Army as a chaplain?
So after I retire from the Army, I'm probably gonna move to the Holy Land, to Israel. I want to live on a farm. I want to have sheep. I want to have some goats. I want to have some bulls, and have like a little petting zoo for the kids. Have some animals, and live the way they lived back in ancient times.
Is that what your wife wants also? Wow.
That's right.
Pretty amazing, David.
Yes.
What you do for the Army, pretty freaking amazing. And I commend you for doing it as from staying from and on the base while seeing who God knows what's going on the base. Pretty amazing.
That's
Keep
right.
it up.
Thank you.
Keep it up. I'm very happy that we did this.
I appreciate you calling me tonight. You actually made my night. And
thank you for letting me interview you.
Yeah, and I know it's been very difficult for you to get a hold of me. I've been traveling. I've been doing counseling sessions on the phone all day. So even though I was supposed to be with you at 9, 10, 11, and actually kept flowing through, I appreciate your persistence.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I wanted to make this happen. I wanted to do it. You're one of my closest friends, David, and I really wanted this to
likewise
to get done. So I'm very happy that we did it.
But I got one thing for you. If you have any of your listeners listening and they want to join the military, have them call me, because if you can be from in the military, hey, I can help you out. I know the right people, I have the right connections. Join as a chaplain. Come do the same thing that I do. Help people every day, bringing God to soldiers and soldiers to God.
How do my listeners get a hold of Rabbi Chaplain Dovid Egert?
They can reach out to you, or they can reach me at dovid.egert@gmail.com. Feel free to email me anytime you like, and give me 24 hours, and I'll actually get back in touch with you. I'm available 24/6.
24/6, not 24/7. You're on the Army. You're in the Army. It's 24/7.
I'm available 24/7, but my phone is only available 24/6. If there's an emergency, I have an assistant. She knows where to find me.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, Rabbi Chaplain Dovid Egert, thank you for joining, and enjoy.
I salute you.
I salute you also, and enjoy the rest of your whatever you're doing the rest of the day.
Have a great night, and a pleasure chatting with you as usual.
You too. Great.
We gotta meet up. We gotta meet in person soon.
Yeah. Mirz Hashem.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.